Good morning, everyone. It is 8:08 a.m. Friday on Good Friday. Happy Good Friday to all those celebrating the weekend. It's Ashley Maltz. I'm the founder of the Austin Wellness Collaborative and I'm an integrative medicine physician in Austin, Texas. We're here with the guy who helped inspire Austin Collaborative, Michael, Mr. Fix-It, Benavidez, and
Hello.
He's going to take us through a foam rolling session. Yay, because we know sitting too much and our glutes are all tight and hamstrings and all the things.
Yeah.
So Michael, introduce yourself, tell us where you practice, all those things, where to find you online.
Like Dr. Maltz said, my name is Michael Benavidez. I am a medical massage therapist. I have been doing massage and body work and movement therapy and training for 22 years now. So you know, I don't want to use unprecedented time, but this definitely is, the quarantine is forcing us to take our therapy into our own hands. And, you know, something as simple as foam rolling can really make a massive difference in just getting your day started and also ending your day. My business is FITtherapyATX. You can actually go to FITtherapyATX.com. Unfortunately, we are one of those non-essential businesses that did get closed down by the TDLR, and that's okay. You know, it's a safety for everybody, and including me as a practitioner. You know, taking this time off has really opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And moving on, you know, it's not going to be the same. So I'm already doing things to radically change my business, which I'm guessing all of y'all are doing the same thing too. And right now, you know, again, doing things daily like this foam rolling stuff that I've been doing now for almost 20 years really helps to set the bar right for the day and again at nighttime. So other than that, you can also find me on, I have Instagram. I don't use it as much. I'm in my 40s, so I'm not as versed as my 20 and 30-year-old colleagues, but I'm getting better. I like this Zoom thing. So this is kind of fun. So, but yeah, always feel free to reach out to me, Michael Benavidez on Facebook. I even have my messenger up if anybody wants to send me a quick message while we do this. Or again, I have lots of free time. So go ahead and feel free to reach out to me. Other than that, I'm ready to get going.
Michael, are you doing like private sessions online with people or at all?
I can. I really haven't ventured into that part. And this was kind of like the beginning of, okay, is this feasible? Can I do this? Do I want to do it? Does it work with jive with me? And so far, yeah, it works really well. So if people want to reach out to me and we can do a Zoom session, that'd be fun. I'd really enjoy that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, take us.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of times, you know, foam rolling is one of those things that have been around for like decades, and for about 20 of those years, nobody knew what the hell it did, other than you just kind of rolled yourself out, you felt better, and you got moving better. Now they find out science-wise that foam rolling is two major things. It's a combination of both fluid management, so you're actually moving fluid, blood, lymph, all those nice water through your muscles and your fascia, especially. So hence things can now slide better, and that's how muscle and fascia all work. They slide, and so the more sticky stuff you have in the middle, the harder it is to slide. The easier things move, which foam rolling helps to kind of break things up a little bit and move some fluid. Now you can slide, and now a muscle can actually move the way it needs to move, you know, and the joint, and it'll free up the joint of whatever joint you're moving. And that's one big key that they found out with foam rolling is that it's not about moving the roll, it's about moving the joint, because the joint is what makes the muscle slide, not you moving up and down the foam roller. So that's something we are going to be changing up here today. If you've been doing traditional foam rolling to where you're actually moving up and down like this, I hope you can see that kind of weird position there. as opposed to we're going to be doing more of what the joint is doing. Because again, if the joint moves, the muscle slides, right? Cool. All right. Any questions moving on? Doc, can people ask me questions?
Yes, they just have to unmute themselves.
Okay, cool.
Or
so feel free to.
There's also a chat.
Yeah. Again, if you want to chat Michael Benavidez on Facebook, feel free to. I have it up on running over here on the side of me. So, yeah. Okay, so what can you use? Obviously, the foam roll, because some of us don't have a foam roll, Dr. Moll, which everybody should definitely have a foam roller, and they're super cheap. You know, you can find one for 20 bucks, a nice foam one, which I think I still have my white foam one from like 15 years ago, still works well. And then you can go into something that's a little bit more industrial strength, has a plastic hole, and this thing's not going to give out anytime soon. It has these little knobs there that really help to, not so much, they don't really dig into you, but they do create a textural effect that the body and the skin sensation really responds really well to. So that's something you want to go and these usually will cost you about, 30 bucks, maybe even less depending on the sales. So one of my favorite companies is Trigger Point, which actually came out of Austin, and now they are blowing up everywhere. And these little foam rollers here that have little grooves and stuff like that, it's just nice sensory, stimulation that the body skin really enjoys when trying to relieve any kind of tension there. So I think this thing maybe is about 30 bucks. So there's those foam rollers. Now, if you don't have a foam roller and you just have a tennis ball, that's perfectly fine. You can do a lot of fun stuff with a tennis ball. My great thing is that when you buy a tennis ball, you can never buy one. They usually come in a pack of 3, right? So what you do is this. You take one tennis ball, you find the ugliest sock you possibly have, a long one, and then you put that actually in the sock, all the way to the bottom. And now you have this controllable dog toy that allows you to be able to manipulate a whole lot of stuff with the ball, especially when you're trying to do any kind of back foam rolling against the wall. So you can actually control the ball. Because how many times have we tried to put the ball back here and then it just falls, right? So hence, put the ball in the sock and do this right here, and then have a little dog fun afterwards. So there's that part. The other part too is now taking the last 2 tennis balls and putting in the other dirty sock and pushing it all the way to the end, making a nice little knot in between those two. Make sure it's a nice tight knot there. Boom. And then you fit the other tennis ball in there right up against that knot, and you make another knot at the very end of that. And now what you have is a peanut. So the peanut right here is what a lot of people will use, where you have 2 tennis balls here. So you can actually put this down your spine and that little opening right there, so it won't actually hit onto your spinous process of your vertebrae, which people really don't like whenever you're using foam roller. Use 2 tennis balls like this. And on top of this, you can actually use this in many areas too, like your hamstrings, like your calves. It really helps to encompass and kind of pinch the muscle bellies as you're rolling and moving. So this is probably one of my favorite ways of doing at home foam rolling, but obviously with a tennis ball. So you did it. And of course, you can buy lots of other things. Like there's another peanut there. There's spiky, which is really good. And then we'll go over some other stuff like using the vibrating foam rollers, which I don't know if you can hear that one. There's ones like that. Then my favorite one is the ball, Trigger Point ball, which vibrates as well. And then Mr. Foam Roller, which vibrates as well. Cool. And last but not least, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's a lot of options that you can.
A lot of options there. If you want to really go super crazy, you actually have now the massage gun, which is, if you're a very active individual, which I'm guessing all you really are, this is a very good investment. And you'd be amazed what you can do with this thing compared to the foam roller. So you usually run about 20 bucks. Okay, let's actually roll. Here we go. One thing I like to do first before I roll is I like to start with my feet. So I'll put on some toe spacers, these guys right here. And I tried a lot of different ones. The company I like right now is the Toe Spacer. They're out of Canada. And these guys, the plastic they're made out of are pretty industrial strength as opposed to the ones I bought in the past that have just kind of split after about a month. These guys don't. So that is something that I would definitely highly suggest putting on yourself. And personally, and I think they have an option to where you can buy 2 pairs, because I guarantee you, you'll lose one of these things for like $30, and it'll last you for a while. And so I put these bad boys on, and it helps to help those little bitty intrinsic muscles deep in the feet, which I'm sure all of us AWC people know something about reflexology and how important the feet translate into the body. And so just by doing those little guys can start the day off right. And now what we can do is with that tennis ball, if you have a tennis ball, if you don't, you can use a wooden roller from your kitchen. No big deal. All right. That's, just obviously be careful with the pressure you're going to do it on. So hopefully you can still hear me as I stand up. What you're going to do here is just do a basic good old fashioned. Can you see that?
No, your foot is
No.
off.
I'll go over here then. There?
There you go. Yeah.
Better? Okay. All you're doing right here is just rolling on that foot. That's all you're doing. You're rolling on it. You're opening the toes. You're twinkling the toes as best you can while you're doing this as well. There's no wrong way to do this. If you're not used to putting this kind of pressure on your feet, that's something that might deter you, hence why the tennis ball is extremely important compared to something really hard like a wooden mallet. So just kind of rolling those there. And again, that on top of the toe spacers really helps to start get all the sensations in the feet, get all the nerve endings in the feet, start translating the body to prepare for waking up. And just doing that about 5-10 times, and then switching over to the other foot. Nice and easy. Again, if you want to be brave and use a little wooden roller, you go right on ahead. And I'm crazy enough to do it. And yeah, you definitely feel all the feels when you do that. Yeah, and you're spending no more than about 30 seconds at a time on anything. If you're spending 2 hours of foam rolling, you need a hobby. So we need to just do this off and on and moving. Good. Easy day. Now, if you really want to wake up your day, you would do the exact same thing with Mr. Spiky, because obviously these little spikes really start to send a whole lot of sensations and tingles there, and you start kind of like, do that for like 20, 30 seconds. Believe me, you'll be awake. You'll be really awake. And notice the sensation in which foot feels way more sensitive than the other one. That's a big tell. That's a big tell about hemispheres and dermatomes and little nerve endings, especially in your back, that may be a little tight and kind of like a little bit more sensitive, and you're just like, you're wondering why your back is always hurting. Your feet are a really great diagnostic tool to tell you what's going on with your back and your body. Okay, good stuff. All right, now we can come all the way back down to the ground. There's some other crazy things that you can do with the tennis balls, but that right there can make a huge difference. Okay, so going on from feet, and we're going to go up into our calves. The calves, we have 2 options. Again, you can use your peanut, or you can use a foam roller. And again, if you have a vibrational one, you can do that too. Cheers. Okay, so remember what I said before? That worked up. Do it this way. There we go. Remember what I said before about foam rolling? Back there, 1998, whenever I was doing this, people were just like going back and forth and back and forth. And I'm sorry, that really doesn't do a whole lot. They figured out. The best thing to do, again, we're trying to manipulate slide and glide. And the best way to do that is by adding pressure and manipulating the joint that we're trying to influence. So hence, right now, we're trying to manipulate the calf, which is mostly connected right here to the ankle. So what we're going to do right here is we're just going to put our ankle right there. Make sure you're on the meat. You're not doing any kind of bone therapy here. You're just kind of getting right there on the meat, right there where the soleus is and the gastroc meet up. And you're just going to do 5 clockwise circles, 5 counterclockwise circles, and then 5 cross frictions. 4, and then move up. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's, you know, this whole like, I just need to push here and whatever. It shouldn't be taking you that long. If you want to add more pressure, double up, lean back, put extra weight with the other leg, same thing, 5 clockwise, 5 counterclockwise, 5 cross frictions. If you want to be extra credit, you can also do 5 actual flexion and extensions. So, and then move up a little bit. So, you know, you're doing section by section on the foam roller. So usually you have about 3 to 5 sections per body part. So 1, 2, 3. I don't have very large calves, so it's not going to take many sections for me. But follow that same premise to where you find that section, go ahead and do 5 clockwise, 5 counterclockwise, 5 cross friction where you're actually moving the entire leg, and then also 5 point and flex, or flexion and extension.
How do you maintain your posture when you're doing this? Because I'm kind of bent over and I don't like that.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple options for the posture wise. So whenever you're kind of in this position, you can drop one leg out like this, so you're actually more upright. So you actually have one more of a platform here, right here. The old school way is, of course, doing a little bit of a lean back, just making sure you're maintaining good chest posture, not just dumping in like this. So you're going to work some lats and some traps while you're doing this, just holding this stuff up. And in between each one, kind of shake it off, move it up, and then return. So if your triceps are hurting just because you've been holding this position for a long period of time, this is where just kind of sitting upright can make a big difference. And just kind of cock that other leg inward like this. Yeah. Does that work? Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So hopefully you've done the calf by now. Well, at least one of your calves. All right. And avoiding the back of the knee. So we are going to go up the back of one leg and up the back of another leg. Okay. So obviously, again, doing the 5 rotations one way. Some people thinking, ooh. Okay. 5 rotations one way, 5 clockwise, 5 cross frictions. Hi. I'm going to go get Frankie if you don't make me. I'm going to go get Frankie here in a bit. She's upstairs. And 5 point and flex. Now, going past the back of the knee, that is a massive no-no point for a whole lot of things. One option you can do for the knee that is actually works really well if you have really deep, you know, that deep knee pain for everybody who's running right now because they don't know what to do with their quarantine time. And what you can do is you can traction it. So you take your tennis ball, you put it underneath your knee, and you actually bend it, and you actually now flex into it. So what you have is you're causing lengthening in that patellar tendon that allows you now to kind of open up that meniscus space, and it shouldn't be painful at all. If it is, take it out because that's a major lymphatic area that you probably don't want to mess with. But if it does feel good, just put it in there and let that just kind of open up a little bit. Really helps to traction that knee. And again, for all us runners who are starting to run again, this is something that can be really runner saving whenever you're doing all that. And just kind of like hold it there for a few, 30 seconds. Like, oh, okay. Even if you kind of moved your leg in and out with that tennis ball up in there, you'll be like, oh, I can feel my hamstring attachments. So, all right, moving on. Take that guy out. Moving on into now the hamstring. So now we're going to start up about an inch or so away from the back of the knee. And there's a lot of different ways you can do hamstrings. People have a lot of problems doing it with just a foam roller. So we're going to do this a couple different ways. So basic foam roller, same thing as we said before, where you can lean back, cock the leg, you can sit up if you want to, or you can cross over if you want to, putting extra weight on it. And again, we're just going to kind of, since we can't clockwise our knee, we are going to cross friction back and forth. The hamstring responds really well to cross friction. And make sure you're doing a lot of internal knee rotation. You really feel that inner hamstring membranosus tendinosus attachment. And you go on the other side to where your foot's kind of your foot's pointing to 1 o'clock and your foot's pointing to 11 o'clock. Think of it that way. And then really trying to feel like that bicep femoris, that outer hamstring muscle. And you're like, oh, wow, those really suck. And that really hurts. So this is what you do whenever you find that spot that really sucks. Go ahead and move your foam roller up. There's whenever you find, AKA a trigger point, those are those areas where, just like this knot in the middle of this sock, that's what's going on with your muscle and your fascia right now. And in order for that to get loosened up and start opening up, you don't want to stretch it, because what do I do when I pull this apart? It makes it not worse, right? We actually want to shorten it up and start kind of manipulating a little bit with a foam roller. So what we're going to do is we're going to find one of those knots, which I'm guessing one of y'all have already found already, and right about there. You know it's a trigger point because it shoots pain either up or down or somewhere else. Pain meaning, or I guess a better reaction is sensation, because if it's super painful, that means you stop doing it. If it's sensation, that's information. So whenever you get on top of that trigger point, what you do, two things: either take 5 deep breaths, or wait for 30 seconds and just put pressure on it. Just hold pressure. Don't do anything else. Let the body respond accordingly to what is going on there. So right now the body's like, that is construction on 35. What do I do? And you're like, no, let's stay right here. Don't get up on the feeder. Don't get on the access road. That's going to make it worse. Stay on the highway and just stay right here. And so we're just going to hold that. And again, by about 30 seconds, maybe a little longer, 50% of that pain or sensation will go away. And so you're just like, okay, now you're giving the body this like, oh, okay, that roadway is clear. I can now move on. And then you move on right there. And that's how you treat a trigger point. Super easy. You know, you taking really dense or really like beating it with this, which, you know, Dr. Maltz knows I've beaten, yeah, with this just to make some knots out. That is, you know, a little bit too much, intensity for just working a trigger point. But again, when you find those suckers, like I did right there, 30 seconds or 5 easy breaths, give the body time to respond. And whenever the pain goes away by 50%, move on. That's it. Okay. So as we're going through the hamstring, cross-frictioning back and forth, we want to make sure that we're not just focusing on this belly. We want to go all the way to the butt attachment. Sorry, this is not, you know, not vulgar. The butt attachment right there. So that foam roller should be all the way up into that hip. So it should be lifting you up off the ground. If you have a tennis ball, same thing, no big deal. But you want it right up against that bony attachment up into that hip. You know, pretty much where your sit bone is, where we're supposed to be sitting, which I'm guessing all of us are sitting on our sacrum and not on this bone. So this will re-identify your body with like, oh, this is where I should be sitting. And lo and behold, I put pressure here and it's making this whole leg have a whole bunch of feelings. I'm just like, okay, nice easy breaths in. And as I relax, this is a really weird crotch shot. I should just do that. And welcome here. Good, and now it's on. There you go. So after now we've done, hopefully everyone's done their calf, their right foot, their right calf, and their right hamstring. You should feel this significant difference between right and left. Go ahead and try it out. So just like lift one leg up, lift the other leg up. You're like, oh, wow, that feels different. Yeah? Good. Okay, guess what? You have 2 legs. Well, hopefully you do. And if you don't, hey, then it's okay. We are going to now do the other leg. We already did the tennis ball thing. So just go ahead and grab your foam roller again and do the left calf. Again, we are focusing on, for the, here, we're doing clockwise motions with the ankle, counterclockwise motions with the ankle, cross friction with the entire leg, and flexion extension with the foot. Yeah. And again, if you have the opportunity to use a vibrational foam roller, which I will here, this is where it gets kind of fun. I don't know if anybody can hear the vibration, but the vibration just adds another level of sensation. And the body loves feeling sensation. Now, depending on the vibration, if you up the vibration, you're trying to wake up. If you take the vibration at lower vibration, you're trying to kind of chill the hell out. So since this is the morning, I want to wake up, I'm going to turn this guy on level 3 or level 4, and then moving up. And again, foam rollers like these that are a little bit more fancier will run you about 80 bucks, if not more. But they definitely do their work, especially if you are a go, go, go kind of person like everybody in AWC is. Good. All right. So you should be finishing up in your calf right about now. Again, rotation, 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 clockwise, counterclockwise, internal external rotation, flexion, extension. Good, good, good. Remember to traction, if you can, tennis ball behind the knee so you can get a little bit of extra there. And start in this process, start noticing which leg, do the legs feel different? Does this knee feel different than this knee? I know my right knee has way more meniscus issues than my left one. At the same time, do I have any major sensations between the two of them? Not really, and that's a win. It's a big win. Okay, now up the hamstring with the rest of it. So again, for the hamstring, I like to put a little extra pressure with my other leg and just kind of go back and forth. And oh, wow, my membranosus tendinosus on this left leg once is really lighting me up. And guess why I know it's a trigger point? Because I feel it over here. I feel it in my hip flexor. I'm like, okay. And I've been doing barefoot running again. So this is like a no-brainer. Yeah, no wonder, this is happening. And just doing cross friction back and forth. Good, good. Now I found another trigger point that goes right into my tib anterior over here. So it definitely explains, why this left leg lags or starts to give out whenever I start running too much. So I'm like, okay, that is something I need to be aware of and probably do not so much strengthening exercises, but do more mobility and durability exercises to help rebalance between my right and my left. All right, again, finishing up with the hamstring. And cross friction back and forth, and making sure you're getting all the way up into your happy spot, right up in that sit bone, and going back and forth as well. Cross friction, cross friction, cross friction, cross friction. Good. And done. And again, as my medical massage mentor says, test and then retest. So how does everything feel? Do they match up? Not too bad. Not too bad. If they don't match up and don't match up in sensation, then obviously do something over again. Like I probably need to do that left hamstring all over again. So, and I will later. Doc, we good on time and everything? Yeah, okay. Cheers, fellow Scorpios out there. Yeah, that's right, Doc, that's right. Where's November babies? We're crazy. Okay, moving on. So we're going to get into, obviously we can foam roll the entire body. We're hitting some of the major stuff like this. And I know one major thing that people really have issues with is obviously their hips. So this is a big one. A lot of things you can do here. You can use obviously your tennis ball, which really gets in there super deep. Your foam roller, which works really well. You just have to manipulate your hip, not just put pressure on it. So let's try this out. What we're going to do is we're going to take our foam roller, and we're actually going to this little triangle here, which is upper butt, hip point, and this little bitty bone you'll feel right down your little trochanter. There's this triangle, 1, 2, 3, that we're focusing on. You see that? So that's where our focus is right here. So you find bony point of your hip flexor. You find a little bitty trochanter there on that lateral side of your femur, and then you find that upper hip. So you're kind of right there, right where my fist is, or right where the ball is in the middle. Yep, perfect. So the way we're going to do this is this. Like pushing it into our hand is not going to work. We need some pressure. So what we'll do, and I feel really sorry for all you who have just a tennis ball, because this is going to light you up. What we do here is we're actually going to lay on that middle like that. Okay, there you go. So I'm on that little triangle that is that hip flexor. Now, the leg that I'm on is my right leg, this one down here. So if you're going to notice, like this other leg right here is kind of cocked out, so I have a very, you know, George Costanza kind of look right now, and I'm definitely dating myself. But what we're going to do here is we're going to lift that back leg up. I'm not moving the foam roller hardly at all. What I'm doing is lifting that back leg up like this. So I'm externally rotating that knee up and down. All right, I'll do another angle just to kind of show you. So I'm here on that right hip still, cross the legs, and I'm lifting up like that. Because what is that doing? It's making the hip flexor and external rotators work, which is making things friction and get all nice and unglued, unsticky. 5 times of that. Good. And then the other part is where we go, I'm going to change angle here, is now we are going to crisscross our body back and forth, really tenderizing the gluteus minimus, which if there's any muscle group that is really weak on a lot of people, it's the minimus, which helps us to move like a crab sideways. 3, 2, 1, and done. That's it. Awesome. So obviously, if you did that on with a tennis ball, you probably got a lot of little feels, you know, maybe a few curse words in your home, and that's okay. Okay, so since we did that hip, now we're going to go on to the gluteus gluteus. So the way that I like to, there's a few different ways we can approach the glutes, and we're going to do one with a foam roller and one with a tennis ball. The classic way is to actually sit on the foam roller and you pick a cheek, pick a butt cheek. So I'm doing the right one since we're doing the right side right now. And from here, you can just kind of like do little circles around that glute, just like that, 5 times, and then 5 times the other way. If you want to get deeper into those deep rotator muscles like piriformis and stuff, now you cross over and do the same kind of thing, opening that up. 5 times one way, 5 times the other way. And then one of my favorite ways of also about doing this is by opening and closing the joint, hence making the muscles, deep rotator muscles work, friction. Slide. Good. Now, repeating that with a tennis ball, that's what you want to do, but it's going to hurt. So I want to take a little dose of your coffee before you decide to go into this one. All right. So, but what I do with the tennis ball is the same thing, and little extra added. What you do too is you take that tennis ball, put it right there in the glute meat, and what I'll do here is drop that leg out completely. This is a completely different way of attacking a muscle group. What we're doing is we're shortening it up to its full extension, or sorry, full flexion, and really letting that pressure into that shortened muscle do some real good work. And just holding pressure there can make a really big difference. And just take 5 deep breaths. And as you do that, you're going to feel this sensation, this reaction, this change happen into the ball socket of your femur. And you might even feel some hip flexion. These deep hip flexors or even adductors start to kind of get a little reaction. Get a little feel. After doing that, you can do a little clam exercise, which is just opening and closing that. A lot of you runners should be doing clam exercises like it's going out of style, because that helps keep everything nice and happy in the sacral area. And then once you're done, jump up. There you go. All right, I don't know about you, but my right leg is now officially a little longer than my left leg. So if that doesn't give you any other reason to, especially no matter what, foam roll your legs in the mornings, I don't know what will. You know, it's a massive, massive difference. And just doing that, and I can even feel how my right knee has this nice bounce to it, that you want your knee to have a bounce, not just lock that position. It has this nice little bounce. It has this hydraulic kind of feel, which I'm like, yeah, that's the knee I want to run on. This left knee feels like a board. So let's go ahead now, and it shows how the hips and the glutes influence the knee insanely. Like, oh, my knee hurts, let me stretch out my quad. No, go for your hip first. I guarantee you that it's there. All right, let's do the same thing we did on the right leg to the left leg. So we're going to go onto that right hip in that with the foam roller or tennis ball, and then the right glute with the foam roller and or tennis ball. And I'll go through it with you. And again, if anybody has questions, feel free to reach out to me. Michael Benavidez, that's my name today, right? Yeah, that's what we're choosing today. Okay, so same thing. Here we are, onto that right triangle hip. Hello, there we go. And again, we're moving that back leg. That's all we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're crisscrossing our body, leaning forward, backwards. 1, 2, 3. Now, did I find a trigger point? Of course I did. Right there in that left hip flexor, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on to it, take about 3 to 5 deep breaths, let my body be acclimated to an area that it thinks is injured, but it's not. It just needs a little bit of reconnection and moving on. Good. And now on to the glute, which is taking that left butt cheek and just the way you are, just kind of doing clockwise, counterclockwise motions on it, kind of making little waves with the knees. Get a little deeper into it, cross that leg over the left ankle over the right knee, do the same kind of rotation. You'll get a little deeper in there. And you can do a little bit of open and closing with the leg as well. And of course, extra credit, which I never really did as a kid, but I see the point of it now. In my 40s, you take that tennis ball, you put it right there up in that glute area, and you just drop that leg down, and you just let it put pressure straight up into that capsule, that hip socket, ball socket capsule there. That is so, it gets a lot of work. It does a lot of work, even sitting, which we're doing a lot of. 3, 2, 1, done. All right, cool. All right, go ahead and sit up and assess where things are, because now I'm just like, oh, guess what happened? My left knee now has this bounce to it. It has this, like, instead of just locked out, it's like, oh, it's soft. Soft knees. You know, you definitely don't want to lock your knees out in most anything. Okay. How's everybody doing? Good? All right. Doc, do we still have time to keep going, or is there a time frame on this?
It's up to everyone. We could keep going, or we could do another session for the upper body, like another time. It's up to you.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Let's do. We're doing more anatomical line stuff, so let's move on to one other part, and then we'll do back part body, and then we'll do front part body, another session in the front area. That's a whole other thing. So we'll go on to 2 more areas that are very important to postural-wise, especially sitting up. And that is a muscle that a lot of us really forget to work, is our lats. I've taught many foam rolling classes in the past, and if there's any one muscle group that people just like, how do you do that? This is how you do it. The lats are this like massive, you know, muscle back there that do, you know, shoulder flexion in many ways. But at the same time, it also, when those suckers get tight, it pulls our shoulders down. And how many of us have, you know, I don't care if it's text neck, whatever neck, you know, that forward head, there's no way you can keep your head up when those lats are pulling you down. So when we get our lats to go into nice extension, our head now has the ability to sit, hence the orange on the toothpick kind of effect, which is kind of what it is. So the lats. Now, doing with the tennis ball, be careful, because this can get really pinpointy. Next thing you know, you hit a trigger point and your arm wants to pop out like a Lego. Just breathe. Hence the breathing part, activating your parasympathetic and just trying to feel all the feels. Foam rollers are best. So what you do here is you take that foam roller and, you know, imagine you're waking up in the morning and you're putting on deodorant, which I don't know, I haven't in 2 weeks, straight up honest. But right in that area where you put your deodorant on, you want to go to the back part of it. So right where you feel between your armpit and your muscle area. That's where the foam roller goes, not in the deodorant area, okay? That is a very sensitive area. You don't want to go there unless you feel very comfortable being able to work in that lymphatic area. This is a major hub for a lot of lymph tissue. You want to be back here on the meat, all right? So go just to the back part of your deodorant area. Cool. If you use deodorant, charcoal, whatever. So take that foam roller and you're going to put it right where your scapula and your lat meet. So if I have my hands like this on my ribs, where my fingers end is where I want to start. So I'll put that sucker on there just like that. Good. Can you see? So this already is showing my old rotator cuff injury. If you've had rotator cuff injuries, this is going to really light you up. But just breathe. And we're going to follow the same principle of cross friction. And if you are brave enough, flexion extension of the shoulder. This might show how weak your shoulder, your medial delt, and all those other ones really are, and why things aren't getting better. You know, your lat's just protecting you because you haven't been doing the exercises. So, flexion extension of the arm. Good. Once you've done those two things, move the foam roller up and lay down, or the tennis ball. Can you see me? No.
I'm using the basketball, actually.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, use the basketball. If you got a basketball, a volleyball, you know, that'd be great. All right, same thing here. So you're just going backwards now. You're getting close to where some of the really important rotator cuff muscles are. So like your infraspinatus. So rolling back a little bit extra can give you some bonus. And then of course doing some flexion extension with the arm like that. There we go. Yeah. And then moving up a little bit more. Good. And doing, because remember, your lat attaches to the back here middle part of your tricep. So we got to go there. That's where we got to go. Ideally, you want to foam roll the entire insertion to origin point where the muscle ends and begins for the entire muscle group. And for lats, there's a lot of attachment points. So right now we're focusing on where it inserts at, which is in this arm area. Good. Now, when you get to the back of the tricep, right here where the lat attaches, you're going to get a few extra feels. You're going to do that same cross rotation, just cross friction. And here, what I want you to do is flex that bicep like you're on a stage freaking showing your guns, all right? That right there is going to be like, oh, wow. You're going to realize how tight your triceps really are and how that's probably been preventing you from getting those massive biceps you've always wanted. So back and forth and back and forth. Right now, about this time, your partners or animals are looking at you very weirdly, wondering what you're doing, and you're just taking them to the gun show. That's all we're doing, taking them to the gun show. And that's it. Good. All the way up. All right. Now, before we move to the other one, I want you to actually sit up, sit in good posture, and see what that shoulder that lat you just did. What is that shoulder doing? Is it dropped? Is it up? Is it more relaxed? You should have this noticeable back and drop feeling, as opposed to like over here or over here. You should have this kind of nice relaxed position. If you ever look in the mirror, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, very nice. Good. All right, now let's do the other arm and see what happens. So same thing. Where do I put my deodorant on? Right here. Where do I go? Behind it, right there where the meat is. And where do I want to start? Where my fingertips end as I grab that area. So right back there. Foam roll there. Good, good, good. Now, of course, one of your traditional things is like going back and forth, and that's okay. It's okay. There's, the body, the muscle, the skin, it's all just wanting to wake up, and that's what we're doing right now. So from here again, do a little cross friction, and oh yeah, some of the kettlebell mace workouts I've been doing are definitely feeling all the feels. Do that 5 times, and then move the foam roller physically up about a few inches, getting a new chunk of muscle that needs to be worked. Oh yeah, sorry, don't forget about the flexion extension of the shoulder area, which, yeah, this arm's tight, this arm is tight. You might begin to notice the difference between one arm and the other one, especially the arm that you use for your mouse. Are those still around now? I don't know. People use mouses anymore these days, but using the mouse, I've always had a significant, there's been a significant difference between between arms on my clients, the one who has a mouse arm and the one who has 2 keyboards or 2 screens and all the other stuff. So, be aware of like, oh, this is my mouse arm. Good. Remember, when you're on the tricep, make sure you're doing not just your cross friction, but you're taking everybody in the room to the gun show. Okay? To the gun show. Good. I even like to rotate my arm while I'm doing this too, because you can get all in that extra tricep area as well. 3. Oh, yeah. I feel that one right there. 2 and 1. Nice. That's it. All right. Again, go ahead and sit up and get into a nice sit-up position. And what did that shoulder do? You should probably be feeling a little bit more of a proud chest up in the air. Your neck can actually go back on top of the cervical spine as opposed to falling forward, and taking a nice big deep breath into the sternum, and probably a little bit easier to breathe as well. So those lats, those are massive muscles that do a whole lot of work. When they get really tight, things go really bad. When they get really weak, things go even worse. So keeping those nice and tenderized and nice and balanced between your shoulders is a huge win. Okay, cool. So we hit a lot of the muscles that obviously our feet, our calves, our hamstrings, our hips, and our lats. Those muscles are massively upright posturing muscles. When you stand up, upright. When you stand up, hips underneath. When you stand up, shoulders back. So hopefully this gives you more of a reason to stand up. Get up off the couch after watching Netflix for the 3rd hour, which, I've been avoiding marathons of Netflix marathons like crazy, but I'm going to give it eventually. But other than that, this is foam rolling. Ideally doing it in the mornings to wake you up. Also doing it at nighttime, but much slower and really focusing on the trigger points, those areas that kind of make you have to take a breath. Those are the best times to do it at nighttime, when you're actually just really need to melt those trigger points out so your body can actually go to bed and get a full recovery of sleep, and then come here the next morning like, let's go again. And using whatever you got to do to get yourself up in the morning. So, all right. Any questions? That was an hour.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Good.
Any questions from Melissa or Laura or the other person?
We have another person.
Yeah, it's Laura's boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hey, guys. What's up?
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions or anything? Or any muscle group in particular that's really...
One of them moved a little fast and you look more flexible. The one where you were on your hip. And you...
On my hip?
Yeah, and you had a leg crossed over.
Uh-huh.
This, somehow, I think that your bottom leg was on the ground. Here, let me move back.
Yeah.
But I can't get my bottom leg on the ground.
Yeah, so what you'll do is, so the leg here that you're on, yeah, you're exactly right, and you kind of lay completely on your side. So you don't want to be twisted like this. And what you'll do is you will lift that your
bottom.
right ankle off. Yeah, perfect. So I have really crazy hip flexibility and mobility. So I can really lift it pretty high and up and down like this.
Really that much.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And so that kind of shows, are you a runner?
I do a little, but not like a ton.
Nothing too crazy?
Tight hips.
You do tight hips, yeah. So
Yeah.
that already right there, knowing that you have very little external knee rotation, it's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong, but it does show if you have a chronic area of not necessarily hip tightness, but I would see if you've ever had any kind of hamstring, old spasms, old tears in the hamstrings or stuff like that. That's really kind of keeping you guarded to not move a whole lot. You know, have you had any hamstring issues in the past?
No, but I've had
Not really.
I've had deep hip issues. I had a running injury last year, and then
Okay.
some ankle issues.
Okay. So that's something that I would actually not use the foam roller, use the tennis ball on your hip. You need to be doing some more trigger pointing on your hip as opposed to using the foam roller. And don't get me wrong, there are certain words that are going to come out of your mouth when you do it, because obviously there's a whole lot of these little knots right there that are deep in those hip internal external rotators.
Yeah, these.
So yeah, perfect. Yeah. You know, when you choose to do that, you know, it's going to light you up, and just do your best to make sure you're taking those like 5 deep breaths, wait 30 seconds. And if you're brave enough, wait even longer till those 50% of that pain sensation goes away. So your body can start connecting with, oh, this area is actually okay. I'm just being very guarded about it because of an old injury. Like it still thinks it's injured, and it's not. You want it to move better. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, absolutely, and just keep, you know, just keep it mobile, you know, and don't be afraid to use it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What are your thoughts on like those little handheld devices that have like multiple little prongs, like to break up the fascia? Like they advertise them like.
You like the fascia blaster?
Yeah.
Like the fascia blaster?
Yeah. Like to break up cellulite.
Yeah.
Do you think they're bad, or what do you think about
No.
them?
You know, God, when I saw the fascia blaster on TV, this was probably like what, 4 years ago, maybe. I was both just like, I was kind of jealous because it's a damn brilliant idea. You know, and as long as you find enough of a masochist in yourself to do that kind of trauma to yourself, that's where it gets really hard. It's really hard for a person to do that kind of intensity on yourself. Hence why people pay me to do it. Scientifically, it is sound. It actually, whenever you, because think about what cellulite really is. Cellulite is not necessarily solely a like increase in adipose tissue or fat tissue. It is a lack of elasticity in the actual skin itself. And whenever skin is dehydrated, which hence it hasn't been moisturized, you're not taking enough water in right now, not to mention you're not maintaining a natural glide in the muscle underneath. Yeah, it's going to get all kind of like this, and little bitty fat and water cells are going to poke out like cellulite. And so hence, you know, that fascia blaster or the fascia anything, hell, you could take a rusty spoon from your kitchen and do the same thing. That helps to get blood and lymph and heat going in those areas that are very restricted. So yeah, you're gonna find a lot of others. And I don't know if you have one of those fascia blasters, they obviously want you to do it to the point of almost bruising. So there's that part too. Again, the inner masochist in us all, you know, or sadist, whatever. That just kind of, you know, that's one of those things to where you're like, okay, is it worth it? No. Is it worth it? Yeah. But again, I would almost say foam roll every day for 2 weeks and see what a change that would make. Because you are creating that same friction point, but a much more conservative as opposed to, let me just beat the living hell out of this thing. Yeah. And if you really want to get nasty, you can get one of these little bitty spiky balls.
What are those called? Like, where would I find them?
You know, this is one from Rock Tape. And they actually, it's just a mobility ball. They have it on their website. If you put a spike, if you end up putting on their mobility ball or spiky mobility ball, usually something like this. Now, this is hard flat. This has no give. This will tenderize you. So doing this against a wall might be better than doing it on the floor until you're ready to do it on the floor and actually put your full weight into it. And you just have to be careful. Yeah, you just have to be careful. It's just, everyone, different folks, different strokes. It depends on what you are ready to do. And these things shouldn't run you more than like 10, 15 bucks. And obviously, unless your dog steals it from you, it's not gonna break. Yeah. And again, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this helped and you felt some relief in some muscles, and especially, is there any muscle group in particular that's been really hard on you?
I've been running a lot more the last 3 weeks.
You and everybody else, right?
I felt that like in my legs when we did it, but nothing's been bothering me lately.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So, the foam rolling will help will help you stay ahead of any injury that's coming up. So hence why I say do it in the morning daily. So you can be assessed, like I just said earlier, my left leg felt way different than my right leg. And so if I would have went for a run without doing this, I would have went and ran very asymmetrically. And next thing you know, my right leg would have been hurt like hell because it did all the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
In the past,
So
when I get IT band stuff. Like that's my problem when I run. I always getting, injured there. But
is it going to your knee or is it going into your hip? The IT band pain.
The pain, it was like into my knee.
Yeah. So this is something just on the side note of IT band issues or IT band syndromes or pain. IT band muscle grouping is in your hip. So when you do any kind of foam rolling for IT band, focus on your hip. When you start doing quad stuff, which is what we'll do next time around, that's a whole other different system that doesn't influence lateral knee like those hip things do. So do more of that hip stuff, and I'll probably put some ice on where the attachment is at the knee, and you'll probably get a lot of relief just by doing that. But the muscle grouping is in the hip, not in the quad.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Absolutely. My pleasure. Yeah, always feel free to reach out to me. No problem. I got plenty of time.
I see lots of foam rolling consults in your future.
Yeah, right?
No, I really could do that. This is like, you could do this all day, and charge people money for that, like a one-on-one.
I know, right? Yeah, true. I mean, I've been trying to think outside the box of what, I teach in clinic and stuff like that. And obviously I can't do hands-on therapy right now, which, I'll be transparent. I'm very touch hungry right now, especially when you've been doing this, for so long, and this is a big part of it. But that's also forcing me to open up about not what can I do next, but what is right in front of me that I'm not seeing that I could be doing. And this is obviously an example of that. And what are those internal barriers that prevents me from doing it? Like fear of being on camera or public speaking, whatever, which, I've been doing that for who knows how long, so it doesn't really matter. Those old constraints you just have to manage. I have to manage myself and be okay with just doing this, which I am. This is way more fun than I thought it would be, and helping one person or 5 people or 500 people is completely worth it.
Well, you're doing great, so I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it. Absolutely. Let me know when you want to do another one, and yeah.
This is very helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Ashley.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ashley, too, for setting us up. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.